I'm here.
You weren't going to forget 2 months in a
No,
row.
that would be bad.
Did we send out a quorum check this month? I'm not so, did we? Okay, I just don't remember it.
Yep, I even checked.
Yeah, but what we didn't get from Janet was all the packet and everything. I went on to the town website and got it.
Oh, okay.
I will give her that feedback. I thought when she posted it, she included the youth commission.
It's hard to tell because sometimes people BCC things.
I don't think we got it because Laura and I were like, huh, that's weird. We didn't get it this month.
Yeah, well, Janet's taking over that. So if a piece is missed, it's just a thing that she needs to be. I'll put it on her radar to make sure that it gets on there for next time.
Thanks. I mean, it's not a big deal. We can go to it's just extra steps to go to the website. And it's weird. Then you have to like click meetings and agendas, and then like it has every commission, and then you have to like uncheck and just get the youth commission one. It's weird.
Huh.
Hey, Laura.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Susan.
Hi. How's everybody?
Good.
How are you? Yeah, right.
I think we'll just wait another minute to see. There's Sarah.
Oh. Behind me. Hi, everyone.
Hi, Sarah.
How are you? Turn that off.
I haven't heard whether Nancy is going to be able to join us tonight or not. Because
Nancy's a no.
Okay. All right.
That's what Janet told me anyway today.
Okay. So I believe we have our quorum and we can start the Southborough Youth Commission meeting. It's July 9th, 2024, and it is 7:01 p.m. The first on our list is review of the meeting minutes from the June 11th, 2024 meeting. Did anyone have any comments or edits on those minutes?
No. No.
I had a typo and I typed them up myself. I just said that in the Friends update, where is it? That it says Leslie will step down as chair and I just lost it. Oh, Leslie will step down and chair and Karen instead of as chair, and Karen will be the chair in the fall. It's just and instead of as. No biggie, but that's all.
Karen, would you like to make a motion for that?
Oh, I make a motion to amend the minutes from June 11th to under Friends update under C. It says positions. Leslie will step down as chair.
Is there a second?
Second.
So roll call vote. Karen England.
Aye.
Laura Chioco.
Aye.
Susan Byer.
Aye.
Sarah Micus.
I will abstain because I did not attend.
All right. And Lauren Ritchie, aye. Next is director's report. Sarah.
Okay. All right. So since our last meeting, it's kind of a quieter time at the office. There's a lot more preparation happening for the fall and for the upcoming school year. We are happy to share, and this isn't a later agenda item, but that we did have a student, a graduate level student who signed on to, this is a little bit weird, the process that we have to do this in, but she's signed on to do her practicum with our office with a plan to transition into her internship with us. The Youth Commission is involved in that process this year because we have money in our budget to pay our intern. So technically the Youth Commission needs to appoint her, which is further on in the agenda, but she started a couple of weeks ago. And when we get to that point in the agenda, I'm happy to share some other background information about her. As of last week, we closed out FY24 and set up all of our spreadsheets and whatnot for FY25. For Pride Month, we had a co-sponsored event with the Southborough Library and Southborough Safe Spaces during the month of June. Hopefully some of you had a chance to check that out. It was actually a really beautiful exhibit. The name of the exhibit is Voices Carry, and Chelsea Bradway is one of the two photographers that take photos for this exhibit. And one thing I learned is that every time this exhibit is hosted in a new town or a community, they invite members of the LGBTQ plus community from that town to have their picture taken and have it added to the collection so that it keeps growing and growing and growing. So we had less than half of the photos on display at the library. It would have been awesome if we had more attendance for our little reception that we had, but it was really touching, and we had some really great conversation. And I loved that the exhibit was available all month long. So even if, people weren't able to make it to the reception, they were hopefully able to see it in the library during the month of June. And the library did a great job of creating some space right on the main floor for those photographs. And then, we're still tying up some loose ends with camp. We've had lots of camp reminders going out and a few last minute changes to scholarships. A new request came in recently. So camp scholarship season doesn't end until the summer is over, it seems. So I do want to share with you some things that I'm working on, or that we're working on for the upcoming year. They're not in the meeting packet, but I do have the ability to share them on my screen if that's okay with you guys. Do I have that? Oh, Lauren, would you mind enabling that
did it.
for me? Oh, thank you. I was too fast for you. Actually, before I do that, with what we're working on this summer, I am trying to, I've been talking with a lot of the other local YFS departments or similar departments in other communities about getting out in the community more often, and had the idea to try to schedule kind of like office hours. The select board have office hours that we would host ourselves in various locations on a regular basis, namely the senior center. I'm in conversation with the food pantry director to see if we can come into the food pantry on occasion, Colonial Gardens, the library, and possibly, I haven't yet talked to Bill about this yet. So Bill, if you're watching, I highly doubt the DPW superintendent's watching, but thinking about the transfer station on occasion also. So just trying to regularly be in places where people can sort of count on us being. So that's one thing that we're trying to establish for this upcoming year. Now I can share my screen. So some new sort of programs, so to speak, or I'm trying really hard to diversify our offerings for mental health services as a town department. Again, always sort of trying to think about, is that too tiny? Does that look too small to you guys?
It's a little small.
A little small. Okay, that's the whole flyer, what it looks like.
Okay.
So I'll zoom in a little bit so you can read some of these. This is just a graphic to illustrate a concept, basically. So we do a lot of one-on-one appointments with people. That seems to be where people are most comfortable versus coming in for workshops and things like that. But we really see over and over and over again a need for some psychoeducation, basically. So, you know, we might have one of us working with a teenager who is experiencing depression or anxiety, and the parents would really benefit from having a better understanding of that diagnosis and what their child is going through and how to help them. And really, a lot of this is really important because we often will work with young people, just using kids as an example, but we'll work with kids for many, many sessions and really need to be doing more in the home environment and with the people who know them, love them, support them the most, and really have more involvement with parents of the kids that we're working with, or loved ones of the kids we're working with. So this isn't all geared towards parents, but sort of stemming from that need that keeps coming up in our office. What I have here is 2 pages of topic ideas that can all be covered within 1 hour. And for example, you have understanding depression. So what does depression look like? How to support someone with depression, things to avoid, anxiety, the importance of adversity. There's a little blurb here on each of these. Validation is kind of a condensed version of listen with love. I will say this is one of my favorite topics to talk with people about, and it is so important. Understanding ADHD, I really love this topic also because unfortunately a lot of kids, especially who have ADHD, end up being presenting as more behavioral at school, and we need to do a lot of work on building empathy for young people or people with ADHD, because those who are around them can often get frustrated pretty easily. So that's our goal with that topic. And these are just some ideas. I would love to hear from the board if they have other thoughts. We're going to keep QPR in the rotation. Shannon and I spoke about this. I don't want to shortchange this training. I think it should not be rushed. So I had it as a 2-hour training. She thinks that it could probably be done in an hour and a half, depending on, the size of the audience. The self-care experience is really just a fun idea that I had, where, how many times have you sat through a talk about self-care when really self-care is an experience? And so my thought was to have it be a more engaging and participatory experience. Navigating the mental health system, building a case for why, we all know that mindfulness is important, but why? I really want to do a strong sales pitch for that, because it's important. So these are just some examples of topics. I could think of a million more. I have to develop all of these into a format, so I don't want to get too carried away and excited about all of these ideas. But just to share, some ideas on how we could deliver this information, because, you might be asking yourself, well, how is this different than kind of some of the workshops that Shannon's been doing? And we're still going to offer workshops. So we would still offer a workshop that's open to the public. We could also be asked to come into the schools or to a different organization to do something for staff. But the two things that we're going to offer that are different are, and part of the reason why I'm trying to get most of these within an hour, is to do these one-on-one or two reviews, where people can schedule an appointment and come in and meet with a member of our staff and have this bit of education with our staff one-on-one, ask their questions in the context of our office. And then a fun idea, which I want to give Shannon credit for this, and Shannon would probably give credit to somebody else. But Shannon used to work in the Fitchburg and Leominster area, and they used to have something called home health parties, where if you think of Tupperware parties, but instead you're having a topic about health of some kind. And I thought that idea was very fun and non-threatening. So somebody could potentially host a gathering of family and friends at their house. They could have some food that they're serving, and invite us to come in and give a presentation on the topic of their choice. So when I go back to the self-care experience, for example, that one could be a fun one for a group to participate in. So this is just an idea at this point. And maybe I'll pause here before moving on to the other idea that we're working on, just to see if there's any comments or feedback or questions on it.
I love that
I it's a fantastic idea. I think that the topics are right on point. I think a 1 hour session is appropriate. I like all the delivery options. One thing I know from my own personal experience, is learning more as a family member or someone supporting a loved one, how to be a mental health care advocate. And that might be something about navigating the mental health system, or an ally. Because if you have, especially if you have young children who have a mental health issue, it does get overwhelming. And also it's very isolating. So maybe something on that topic about how to network or whatever. But I think that this would be a fabulous program for the community.
Thank you. Laura, you were starting to say something. Did you have anything to add?
Just to piggyback on that, I love the private wellness group meeting idea. And I think that there are a lot of clubs and groups already in Southborough that you could pitch this to as like to a book club or, something else to add on to their evening or as a designated night for them. And I think that's a great idea to get a better understanding in the community of the services that are offered for people who don't maybe have a misconception about what Youth and Family Services is doing. So I think that's a fabulous idea. I've never heard of that. It's great. I
know. I was like a home health I wanted to call it that, but I feel like I have a child crying. Sorry. I feel like I don't want to steal the name from, are you okay? I can't really help you at the moment, but walk it off. Anyway, so I thought that was a great idea too, and something that, I know there's a need for it. I also know that people feel more comfortable if they get to pick who they're in the workshop with, sort of, it's by invitation. And I sort of pictured it like a Tupperware party where, one person hosts and then somebody among the party says, I'll be the next host. And then, we get booked at another place and then they invite a whole other group of people. And I love hearing ideas because eventually, hopefully, if we have some success with this, we can, eventually the topics will need to be refreshed because people will have heard things already. So keep throwing those our way if and they need to be high level overview topics because they're only an hour, and that's the really critical piece, is because I want this to be something that's digestible and can fit within the time frame of an appointment should people choose to go that route for their delivery of this information.
Sarah, it might be important to try to wrap around this concept with like topics that might be appropriate to different groups. Like at the senior center, they might be doing something about lifting your mood or whatever, or doing yoga, and maybe that would be a good time to come in. Or there might be a book club that's reading a book about like glass castles or something, about mental health issues, crises in the family. And it would be nice to be able to dovetail it with some suggestions for different groups. Like you might want to read this book first or explore this concept, or, I don't know, just to make it kind of a more not just come sit and listen to something about mental health. Might be intimidating to people, but if it's dovetailed into something that they're already kind of thinking or doing.
Sure.
Yeah, I love the idea. We talked about this when we were trying to brainstorm how to get more attendance at the workshops, like QPR and stuff. And we said home parties would be a way to do it. And I think that's a great idea. I was also thinking maybe like to try to engage the youth to get some high school or, middle school involvement. If you could do like, I don't know if it has to be at someone's house, but it could be someplace where it's like, an ice cream sundae party plus a little 1 hour thing or something like that.
Yeah, you're reminding me, one of the other reasons I didn't do the home health party name was because I didn't want anyone to feel pressure to have it in their home. Certainly could be, in the upstairs room at what is the coffee place on Route 9? I know sometimes people host meetings there at Red Barn. Is it still Red Barn?
Closed. It's closed.
It's closed. Okay. But just when it used to be open, that would have been a good
I think
example.
even at like the church community rooms,
Yeah.
host stuff. I think it's
yeah. So maybe we could try to find some places like that too. And I mean, I'm happy to host and everything, but like if kids met after school or did like a not Southborough House Pizza, but actually Southborough House Pizza has an upstairs room too. So I don't know, we could try to think of ideas for youth ones too.
Well, so this is very early stages, but just wanted to put the concept into an illustration of sorts to be able to pitch the idea. It sounds like everybody is in favor, on board. Any other thoughts or concerns? I do know that, Megan and I, so I think I've shared before that as the director of the department and having a lot more administrative duties, I tend to carry a smaller caseload of clients and do shorter term work than Megan does. So when thinking about this, I'm thinking that I will end up doing the lion's share of some of this work, but that I'm hoping to cycle in Shannon and Megan on some of these, depending on who the audience is, et cetera. With the private parties, especially in people's homes, we have to be really mindful of our professional boundaries with people. It's can become a challenge if we're seeing somebody in the office for counseling support and then going into their home. So those are all things we have to consider with doing this. So I really think this provides me as the director of the department an opportunity to continue to work with residents, but not on a long-term basis, which is the harder part I have, because I just don't have the same level of time to commit that Megan does, to give the time and attention that people need for some of the more complex challenges we see. So, and this is really kind of, it's still mental health support, but it's upstream, it's prevention. So I think that's something that would be really great for us to invest some more of our time and resources into.
Sarah, if you ever wanted to talk to like Girl Scout troop leaders, I thought that would be a good idea too. If
Yep.
we're always looking for ways to, they do CPR classes and stuff like that. So we could see if any of the instructors, especially of the older middle school to high school girls, would be interested in having any classes.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, just to kind of get our feet on the ground with this, or get the ball moving, I may move forward with this set of topics just to figure out the logistics of how this works. I am planning to, I have to modify my hours in the fall, so I'll be working a later day on Tuesdays. So I will have to sort of stagger my availability to do these in the evening or after school hours. So there'll be some logistical things to work out and see how it all unfolds.
Do you still have anything to share on screen?
I do.
Okay.
I do. So really quickly, the other idea, and actually, Sarah, this ties into what you were talking about previously about having it related to, I realize this is getting very small. We had some ARPA funding left over for workshops, and decided that we wanted to get creative with how we, again, get creative with how we deliver information. So we have some favorite books in our office. These three are three of them. And we purchased more, but we got a number of copies of several books that we like, with a plan to sort of have a book club. A book club that meets several times about the same book. So sort of breaking the book down into digestible parts. I keep using the word digestible. Maybe I'm hungry. But breaking it down into three different meetings to talk about the contents of the book. This is, again, it's an idea. So I do appreciate your feedback. We did go ahead and purchase the books because even if this concept doesn't take off, we love having the opportunity to lend out books to people. And some of these are extremely helpful for a variety of things. So the first one is a go-to book that we are often referring parents to, because we see a lot of young people with anxiety and parents feeling like they're at a loss for how to help them. And this book is really, I have used it personally and professionally, very, very helpful. So that's the Breaking Free of Child Anxiety and OCD by Eli Leibovitz. The second book we decided, or I plugged it in here for December through February, The Upward Spiral. Some of you may remember we had Dr. Alex Korb come during COVID. He did a webinar for us, but The Upward Spiral is a really, really great book for helping people navigate depressive symptoms. And that time of year, December through February, is a really challenging time of year for a lot of folks. So that was one of the reasons we thought to do that one. And then one of Shannon's favorites. So the first one's one of mine. The second one is one of Megan's favorites. And then the third is one of Shannon's is 14 Talks by the Age of 14. You know, so many parents are just looking for any and all resources to navigate this thing called parenting. And so we plugged that one in there. We do have another book that we purchased several copies of, that's where to draw the line, and that's a book on personal boundaries, which is fantastic, and I use it all the time. So anyway, the idea would be that we would invite people to participate. We have copies available for people. They could buy the book if they wanted to and read along with us, or they can borrow it for as long as the group is going. And that we would have 3 meetings for each of them and get together and just have a discussion about it. And again, the idea is to try to get information in people's hands, really important information in a less threatening sort of way. You know, we're just reading a book together. What did the book say? What do you think about what the book said? Has anyone tried that? You know, we could, you know, like many book clubs, have some refreshments and have it be low key and in a comfortable environment, that sort of thing. Do I have it here? Oh, this is just sort of an overview of, you know, what the 3 books could be for the year. And then I would also do a individual flyer for, bless you, for
Thank you.
each as it approached. I want to be very clear. I should have a big watermark that says draft over the front of this. I just plugged in some dates. I have not even talked to Ryan Donovan at the library. Ryan, if you're watching, again, I doubt he is, but this is just an idea. So we are not doing this at the library, and that QR code goes nowhere. But just to share sort of a what this could look like. So we have a ton of books, and all of us, and maybe we're biased, but all of us at the office love to read, and mostly as a form of escape, but often to learn. And it's especially helpful to be pointed in the direction of a good resource, and even have the opportunity to talk about it with other people. So that's where this idea comes from. And I am happy to hear thoughts and feedback about it, and suggestions if you have any.
I like that idea. I'm not sure what you wouldn't pay or charge for it, right?
Nope.
No.
We have the books. I think I had toyed with the idea of doing this one time and giving a copy of the book to each participant, but these books are really valuable to us because they're such good resources that I think in retrospect, I would just like to not limit somebody from participating because they thought they needed to buy the book.
Mhm.
So we have a set of 10 copies of each, and so people can borrow it for the duration of the couple or 3 months that we're reviewing the book.
Hopefully, logistically, people don't just sign up and then not come, and then you're like tracking down books all over town.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's the only thing I would worry about. Like if you'd have to register and limit.
We could do like some collateral or something like that. Like they have to pay $10 and they get their money back when they return the book or something. I'm not sure.
I'm just thinking like because I mean,
Or
so many
they're
times
home.
people sign up. Yeah.
Or what?
Or they're home.
They're home. Yes, that's how valuable these books are.
I really like the idea. I'm a big reader too, especially in the area of mental health issues. And it's kind of hard to read stuff on your own because sometimes you have questions. Sometimes it's really hard to digest what is being told to you because it's difficult to hear or learn about. So having a group that you could share your feelings and emotions with would be fantastic. Would you plan to like have a signed reading, like read chapters?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep,
All
meeting number one, for example, if I were to go back to this, September 24th, prior to September 24th, we're gonna read the first 4 chapters.
Mhm.
And that's it. And then we get together, we talk about it. What did everybody think? What do you think about the book in general? Is it comprehensive? Should we be, is there something else? Or is it the language in it not that we're there to, criticize the writing or anything like that, but as a resource, and really most importantly, the ideas that are shared, are you finding them helpful? Has anybody tried them? Do you want to try them? There's no pressure to, but somebody might say, I'm going to try that next week, or I'm going to pay closer attention to that. And
Yeah.
then at that meeting, we would assign the next 4 chapters, for example, and then we would get together again. I do think, some of these books, they're so great, but they can be, you want to do them in smaller pieces. I'll just share, I have a client that I'm working with right now who I had mentioned to you, the book on boundaries. It has been really at the core of some of the work that we've been doing together. So we decided we have our own little mini book club, and we read 3 chapters a week in between sessions, and then we get together and use it sort of as the basis for talking about applying what's in the book to personal matters. And it's been very, very helpful and really a great facilitator of conversation. So
I like that. And I also think I know I would love to read some of these books, but it's one of those, you never have time. But if someone sets aside a night to do it and gives you you have to read these 3 chapters,
yeah,
definitely,
yeah,
I think help.
It might be helpful too for as you're reading along, maybe to have some questions for each session that you can give
Yeah.
thought to before you go, not like a huge homework assignment, but things like as you're reading, you can jot down, because I think a lot of people don't know what's expected of them when they go into these groups, and it can be a little overwhelming. So
right.
I love this. I'll be your first customer.
We are apprehensive about this idea, admittedly, because even getting people to come for one night of a workshop is hard. So it's entirely possible that we might decide to do this on Zoom, or that we, I don't know. This one has a greater potential to not take off. That was kind of a double negative I just used, but so any ideas you have about, we just are very firm believers in bibliotherapy as being a really helpful way of getting information and being readers ourselves. Not everybody is, so we appreciate that. But for people who are, it can be a really helpful way to learn more information. And a book does such a better job. That's kind of the point of why I'm using this book in my counseling sessions with my client, is because the book does such a better job at articulating the point that I'm trying to make. Such a better job. And then I can say, remember when the author said that? And that's what I want you to walk away with that piece of information. So anyway,
It's just my personal opinion, but I don't think I'd like to do this over Zoom. I don't know. I think people aren't, but then because it's hard and then everyone tries to talk at once and this, I don't know, the whole mechanics of a Zoom meeting like this. I mean, it's one thing when we have a meeting like this, but a book club discussion, stuff like that. I mean, I would prefer it in person.
Sure.
I don't know how does everyone else feel?
Yeah, I had the same thought as well. And I think too, like, if you find the people that are going to want to try this are going to be, I feel like that type of person is going to be invested enough to want to make it out at 7 on a, Thursday night or whatever, to sit there and have that conversation in person. The type of person who would want to do this. I love this idea. I would 100% be the second person showing up after Sarah.
Oh, good.
Because I also like to try to read these books on my own, but they're often so dense sometimes
Mhm.
that you need to process it out loud. And I think that could be really helpful for a lot of people. So
Yeah, yeah.
great idea.
Hopefully it won't all be therapists who show up, which
Or
might be helpful.
our entire, or just our entire department, like.
Yeah, it's okay. It's all right. We're gonna be super well versed and knowledgeable.
I do a couple book clubs on Zoom and a couple like current events things because there's some seniors involved and people with little kids, and that seems to have been ways to keep people involved and engaged. It is a little awkward when everybody's trying to talk, but generally we've kind of figured out how to manage it over time. So you know, especially if you're working with parents with young kids, it's going to be really hard to get them out. So,
Or maybe you do a hybrid. The first one is in person because
Sure.
you know you want to meet everybody and then discuss the book. But then you're like, oh, for time and schedules, the next one will be middle, and then the last one could be like a culmination. You know,
person.
so you can see how it goes.
yeah, great idea. I love that.
Yeah.
So it's less of a commitment. You don't have 3 nights, you know, out of your home or whatever.
Okay. Great. All right. Well, this is another concept that needs some development, but I appreciate just like the topics, I appreciate hearing about books too. We will read all of them first, and we have so many books. Oh my gosh. But these over and over at least are some that we go to often. So
I'm reading the Boundaries one right now.
are you really? Oh, that's great. Oh, that's
I
awesome.
can come co-chair the meeting.
Excellent, excellent. That's great. It's a great book. I've had that on my desk, you know, for months now, but I have been referencing it since I started in the department.
I honestly think every human being should read the book because
Yeah,
it's important
right.
to
It's really, really
set boundaries. And
yeah, I think that's the other piece of these books too, is that it's intended, yes, the one on anxiety and the one on managing depressive symptoms are for folks who are, you know, experiencing both of those, but they're written in such a way that everyone could utilize them in some capacity, because we all experience anxiety or have someone in our life that experiences anxiety at some point, and same thing with, you know, depressive symptoms. So so anyway, you know, there are books that are pretty relevant to lots of people.
Sarah, would this would be limited to Southborough, or could it be like bring a friend and a friend?
I think, you know, you guys previously had said that you wanted us to keep these kinds of things open to, you know, our sort of upstream prevention work to be available to residents of any community. I would say anything, our general rule has always been, if it's a group thing, you know, that it can be, so long as there's at least some Southborough residents in the audience, we're good. It's the one-on-one time, you know, so if we were having somebody with the mental health education series topics that I talked about, we wouldn't make one-on-one appointments with people in the office from other communities. But if they, you know, if somebody had a private party, for example, and invited someone from another community, that's great. Do you all agree with that sort of approach?
Right.
Okay. Because I really do believe, you know, that the more participants we have in the group, it really benefits everybody. You know, it brings more conversation and more contributions, things like that. So, all right. So sorry, those are the sort of 2 things I'm working on right now, along with some other things. We are getting a lot of more recent requests to do some in-home support. So I'm working with some of our other YFS departments in the neighboring area to talk with them about if they do that and how. Wanting to really keep in mind the comfort level and safety of staff and, what that looks like. But there's a lot of times where there are situations that we are called about that we just can't assess the information from our office. And it would be, or, there's some sort of barrier, that if we think about some of our seniors in town, they are not leaving their homes, for example. So that means that our services are not as accessible to them. So we are exploring that. There was a time that we did do in-home services, and then we pulled back from that following a couple of incidents that occurred. And so, I don't want to shy away from it completely because I think there's a real lot of value in it. I just want to put some parameters around it and kind of be a little more thoughtful and structured with it.
Could you refer those out to advocates? Because I know they have in-home services and have the whole wraparound, what the parameters are and the criteria.
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
thinking
I don't
that
think that we would be going in to do ongoing support. I think
Just
in some
to-
cases, it's just to assess the situation.
yeah, you can
we
limit
have-
it to one or two and then
Yeah.
refer. That might
Yeah,
be.
almost thinking of it as more of like a home visit
Mhm.
versus in-home therapy. But yeah, there's a lot of times where, we just kind of hit a wall and say, I just would really love to see what this looks like, or something's not adding up, or, I just need to see everybody together, or, that sort
Yeah.
of thing.
Well, you might need to talk to legal too,
Mhm.
just to make.
We did
All
find out that we are covered by the town's liability
All right.
insurance, and that we're good to go there. So that's good to hear. Excuse me 1 second. My kids, the volume on the TV keeps getting louder and louder. Maybe I'm talking too loudly. Okay. So that's something we're looking at. We're preparing for crazy outreach season, school open houses. I'll be in touch with you guys with more information on that, because we're always so thankful for your help with covering the school open houses, because there's just no way we can all be in one place at the same time. And it's always nice to have a buddy with you with all of the outreach. And, we just went through our performance evaluations. Each of us as staff have established some goals that we're working on. For me, some of the other areas that I'm really focused on are really making our services more accessible, particularly for residents who English is not their first language. And that's a challenge because we don't have any, we're all English speakers in the department. We don't have language capacity, except we have Propio, which is a great asset for us, but it has some limitations itself. So I'm planning to try to identify some comparable resources and services in the area that have language capacity, and really do a better job of advertising those things, and making sure that we have an ability to offer more to families and individuals in town who are non-English speaking residents. So and then just it's a very ambitious summer and we're almost halfway through, but and then lastly is just really starting to think about our next community needs assessment and strategic plan. So I am in conversation with, or having some outreach with some data collection folks to help develop a community needs assessment that really helps us capture the information we're looking at. Surveys and things like that are really science, because you need to know what data you want, and then you need to know what questions to ask to get that information. So so that's kind of where my headspace is right now. I'm just starting to think about that as well. Okay, that's the end of the director's report. Sorry, that was only item 2 on the agenda, but I don't know if there's anything else to add, or if anybody has questions about what I said.
No, I love very exciting new stuff coming up.
Summer's a fun time, or it can also be stressful, but it's a nice time to think, to re-examine and try some new things.
Great. All right, the next item on the agenda is the appointing the graduate intern.
Yes, so I have one other screen share. Let's see. Okay, can you guys see this? This is her. So I thought of this after the fact. I mean, you're welcome to read this. Essentially, Elizabeth is in the same program that Megan and I both went through, the counseling psych program at Framingham State University. She talks here about, you know, her coursework and what draws her to our agency in particular. I also have here her resume. We've redacted her personal information for her privacy, but you know, just in case you guys were concerned that we brought an intern on who's in a sports management program or something like that. So she is absolutely lovely. As I said, she started with us a couple weeks ago. Does anybody want to see anything more in depth or have questions about her? She's joined me on a few sessions already. We've gotten permission from some of the residents that we're working with to invite her into sessions to sort of shadow some of the work that we're doing. And she's just really very intuitive and really good with people, and has a very gentle approach. And we really like her and are excited to have her. And so I'll stop sharing. But what I wanted to sort of add to what I said at the beginning of the meeting is that this is a little bit of a different process than we're used to. So normally we interview students who are interested in joining us for their practice. So students have to do a practicum first, which is 100 hours of direct service. I'm sorry, 100 hours total, some of which is direct service. And then as soon as they finish that 100 hours, they transition, they start logging their hours for their internship. So they don't generally do their practicum and their internship into 2 different places. They do them both in the same place, but practicum is a little more hands-on, a lot more shadowing, less direct service, getting your feet wet sort of thing. And then they transition into their internship. And so what we have budgeted for this year is for a paid internship. So her first 100 hours are unpaid. And then she would start being paid for her internship. And we worked with Vanessa Hale, and who's our assistant town administrator, and Brian Ballantyne, who's our town treasurer, to establish how to classify this position, because currently there is no intern position within the salary administration plan. And it needs to be an hourly rate that fits within the salary grid. So we are hoping to work with personnel board to add intern to the SAP at the fall town meeting. I'm not sure, you know, where that stands or where that will go, but So this position is for a graduate internship, but it will be classified as an administrative assistant at $19.99 per hour. We budgeted for $20 an hour, but we can't go outside of the figures that are on the grid, if that makes sense. And so $19.99 was the one that was closest. So it just means that we get to have Elizabeth just slightly longer, maybe an hour longer than we would have otherwise had her. So because she's a paid employee, it's the Youth Commission that is the appointing authority for this position, which is kind of new for all of us. So I was hoping that you all would give your blessing and vote to appoint her, so that when so we're ahead of the game. She's not going to finish her 100 hours until probably mid to late August, if I had to guess, or early September. But if we have this approval under our belt, as soon as she hits that 101 hour mark, we can start putting her on the payroll as an intern.
Going to be working full-time, Sarah?
It's a part-time internship, so we have a total of what we budgeted for was $20 an hour for the internship itself is only 600 hours for the duration of it. So so she'll be working a total of 600 hours, and generally speaking, that's 21 to 23 hours per week.
Any other questions or comments? Can we have a motion on Elizabeth Niquette?
Niquette,
Okay.
even easier. Yep.
I make a motion to appoint Elizabeth Niquette as our grad level intern for Youth and Family Services. The first paid one. Yay, good job.
Yay.
I second.
All right, roll call vote. Karen Englam,
Hi.
Laura Chioka,
Aye.
Susan Byer,
Aye.
Sarah Micus,
Aye.
and Lauren Ritchie. Aye.
Yay, thank you.
Is appointed. Next on the agenda is outreach opportunities for ideas for the summer months, or we could talk about the fall upcoming school opportunities, if you have any information on that.
I wish I did. I know that the dates are coming out for that. I think what we'll probably do is put together a sign up genius with all of those dates. Again, we appreciate the board's help on doing outreach at those events. So I don't have those. I will share that just today we were talking with Recreation has a new director, Travis Farley, who's wonderful. And we are going to plan on attending at least one of the summer concerts. We have so many bubbles left over from last year. We gave out bottles of bubbles to kids that were in attendance at one of the concerts. And it was just a fun opportunity to be part of the community. And, you know, we didn't really have lots of conversations about mental health and substance use and things like that, because that's not what people are there for at the concerts. But it was nice to be visible and participate alongside community members at such a fun event. So we're hoping to do that again and to give out some bubbles and blow some bubbles with kids. And Travis gave his blessing for us to do that as at many concerts as we would like. So we're going to do that at least one. So summer's hard. You know, that feels like a pretty solid outreach opportunity there. But if there's any others, we're certainly open to hearing about them. And like I said, with regard to the fall is just nutso. There's all the school stuff, and then you know, the Heritage Day, and I'm sure I'm forgetting something, but there's, oh, and trunk or treat. We'll have to think about our costumes this year. So plenty of upcoming outreach opportunities underway.
Okay. Next on the agenda is a Friends update. I know you're not meeting until September. Is
Don't
there?
know. Don't think we really have an update. We had a nice joint gathering, but we haven't discussed any business since the last meeting, so.
Okay. And that brings us to adjournment.
All right.
We would need to have a motion to adjourn. If someone could so motion.
A motion to adjourn.
There's a second.
I second.
All right. Roll call vote on adjournment. Karen Englam,
Bye.
Laura Chioco,
Aye.
Susan Byer,
Aye.
Sarah Micus,
Aye.
and Lauren Ritchie. Aye.
Wonderful.
Good.
All right.
Have a great July.
I just wanted to thank Karen for having everybody at her house.
Oh, you're so welcome.
I could have made that.
It's a beautiful house.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a great summer.